What's up, queens, and welcome back to Cricket Crowns. If you're new around here, my name is Destiny, and I'm an expiring psychologist, and Cricket Crown was created so that I can help women overcome the mental and emotional challenges that keep them from pursuing their purpose, their dreams, and their destiny, okay? So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe because I will have more videos coming your way. All right, let's get into it. So today, we are talking about how to get through a heartbreak. All right, let's get into it. So I realized that one of the things that a lot of us women are suffering through is heartbreak, right? And I don't know if you ever had your heart broken, but it hurts and it sucks, right? So going through a heartbreak, I found, can really stop you from pursuing certain dreams or goals or aspirations that you may have, because you kind of get caught up in this funk, right? It's almost like a soul tie. Well, it is a soul tie where your mind, your emotions, and your will is kind of tied to this person. And when you become tied up with somebody, it can be hard to kind of get loose from that and to be inspired to want to pursue your dreams or your goals or your aspirations, right? So because I don't want my sisters stuck any longer and I don't want them bound by a heartbreak, because I want to see y'all successful and I want to see you go far in life, I decided to make a video today on how to get through a heartbreak. I have recently gone through a heartbreak myself, so I know how draining heartbreaks can be. I know how being heartbroken can lead to depression. I know how being heartbroken can have you just stuck in the bed crying all day thinking about that person, you know, and your heart is tied up and you don't want to do anything, you don't want to go anywhere, you lose all inspiration. I know exactly how that feels, right? So today, this video is for women who are just tired of hurting, they're tired of being stuck, and they're ready to move on with their life, but they just don't know where to start, you know, to get loose or how to begin to heal from this heartbreak. So my first point on how to get through a heartbreak would be to separate yourself, right? So the first step to healing is you have to separate yourself from the person who broke you, right? So you can't expect the person who broke you to heal you. You can't expect the environment that broke you down to be the same environment to lift you up. So I think that the first thing to do to get over a heartbreak is to separate yourself. And this doesn't necessarily only have to be with romantic relationships. This can be friendships. This can be jobs. Because, you know, we all go through seasons in our lives, right? So sometimes things are just seasonal. Somebody could be having a heartbreak over a job that they wanted. Somebody could be having a heartbreak over losing a child. It doesn't matter what the heartbreak is about. I think that separating yourself from whatever it is that broke you or whatever it is that hurt you the most would be the first step to really getting on the path to healing, right? So the first thing would be to separate yourself, right? So if it is a romantic relationship or it is a friendship or it is a person, I think the first thing to do would be to cut off communication. You know, unfollow them from social media. You know, don't text them, don't call them, don't FaceTime them, don't continue to hang out with them. If you know you can't handle it mentally and emotionally, go ahead and just cut them off, which is going to be an extremely hard thing to do. But I think that the best thing to do if you want to get on this path to recovering is to cut all communication. You know, stop stalking them on social media. Who cares what they're doing? Who cares who they're with? Who cares how they're living their life? Who cares, right? At this point, your main priority is to heal. It's not to worry about them. It's to worry about you. So in this season, in this phase of your life, your priority is you. The main thing that's important right now is your mental health. It's your emotional health. It's your spiritual life. It's your physical life. Put all of that energy, effort, and time that you're putting into them, put it into you, right? Because it's so important that you heal, and it's important that you heal properly. You want to heal the correct way, right? So One of the things that we do when we go through our phase of healing is, especially when it has something to do with a breakup, is we typically like to rebound. We like to use other people to help us get over the last person. But that's not really healing in the correct way, because now you're just using somebody else and you're continuing the hurt. So someone hurt you, so now you're gonna hurt someone else by using them to get over the person who hurt you, right? And that is like one of the worst things that you can do, and it's selfish, right? So if you're gonna heal properly, I think the best thing to do is to not go and get up under somebody else to heal, but it's to be alone with yourself, and it's to figure out why you're even hurt and broken in the first place, right? So I think that as you're on this journey of healing, the first step would to be separate yourself from the person, place, or thing that broke you, and to not use other people, because we tend to do that sometimes, not to rebound and use other people to help us get over the hurt that we're dealing with, but to heal in the proper way, which would be you sitting with yourself and self-examining yourself, your emotions, your mind, your thought, why you're even in this position in the first place. Why are you so hurt? What is it that broke you? And sometimes I know it's not as simple and easy as just separating yourself, because you might live with this person, you might have kids with this person, or whatever the case may be. For that, I would say to begin to emotionally and mentally detach yourself from that person, like begin that separation process, that detachment. And I think that eventually, as you do this day by day, it'll get a lot more easier as you begin to separate your emotions, your soul, your mind, your will, your spirit from this person, right? So my second point would be not to take it personally. I think sometimes when we go through heartbreak, we take it personal. We take it as an attack on us as a person. And by that, I mean like, okay, you think something's wrong with you, right? So I don't know how many of y'all have ever been through heartbreak before, but when you go through heartbreak, it kind of does start messing with your self-esteem. You do kind of start feeling like, dang, is something wrong with me? Was it something that I said? Was it something that I did? Maybe I'm just not lovable. Maybe I'm just not valuable. Maybe I'm just not worthy enough to be loved, or to be, it just kind of really start messing with your head. And like, for that, I want to say, whenever you're going through a heartbreak, to begin to separate who you are as an individual from what that person did to you. Because just because people treat you a certain way, it has nothing to do with who you are, but it says everything about who they are as a person. And sometimes people don't know how to value you. Sometimes people don't know how to love you. Sometimes some people can't see the value in you, but it shouldn't change your value. It shouldn't change how you see yourself. It shouldn't change your worth, right? It shouldn't change what you feel that you have to give to the world and the blessing that you are, because we all know God says in his word that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, right? And because of the simple fact that you are a woman, you're blessed, period, because God says that about us. But I think that when we go through like heartbreak, we do kind of start, it gets to us, and it really does mess with you, and it messes with your self-esteem for a little bit, and it messes with your worth, right? But I think that another important thing to remember is that you are your own separate human being, and another human being don't dictate your value, and they don't dictate your worth, right? So you will survive without that person. You don't need anybody outside of you to make you who you are, right? And I think sometimes we pour so much into people that we really start to believe the lie of we need them, right? But you don't need no man that bad outside of God, to be honest. And I feel like as long as you still have God, then you still have everything. So for the person who's battling with low self-esteem right now, or maybe even like depression, and you're questioning your worth and you're questioning your value as a woman, I think it's so important that you understand that your value and your worth never comes from another human being, but it comes from God. It comes from within. It comes from who you are as a person. And another person's inability to see that in you does not change that in you, right? So for example, my son, he's 4 years old. He doesn't know the value of $100 bill right now. So to him, he rips it up, he balls it up, he throws it on the ground, he loses it because he doesn't know the value that $100 bill hold. But just because he doesn't know the value of it doesn't mean that it's not valuable. Now, somebody who has enough experience, somebody who has enough wisdom, somebody who has enough common sense can come along and see, okay, this $100 bill is actually valuable, and they would treat it better because they know the value that it holds, right? So I think sometimes we have to stop seeing ourselves through the lens of other people, because sometimes other people can see us incorrectly, right? So to that, I just want to say, don't lose hope, don't lose confidence. Continue to stay strong in who you know that you are. And just because one man may not have loved you and appreciated you the way that you were supposed to be, does not mean that a man won't come along and see the value in you and love you and treat you the way that you are supposed to be treated, right? So I just want to say, don't lose hope in that aspect, but keep your faith alive, and continue to nurture who you are, continue to pour in who you are as a woman, and continue to grow your confidence, grow your hope, grow your desires, just grow as a whole, as a being, your spirit, your mind, your emotions. Don't stop evolving, don't stop growing. Sometimes you have to learn how to just dust the dirt off your feet and keep moving. I think sometimes we try to make people be what we want them to be, and we can't do that. You can't force anybody to be what you want them to be, and you can't force anybody to see your worth, right? And I think as women, sometimes because we're built that way and we're fixers, we always want to fix things, and we do it to the demise of our own health, and I think sometimes you just have to know when it's time to just let go. And it's okay to let go. It's okay to start over. You don't have to be afraid to start over. You don't have to be afraid to let go. No, it's not going to be easy. No, it's not going to feel good. But in the end, it's going to be good. And you're going to look back years from now and you're going to be happy that you made the decision to walk away and to put all of your energy and your time and your focus into you, because the version of yourself that you're going to get from that is going to be extremely, extremely beautiful, right? And y'all know I'm so big on investing in yourself, because when you invest in yourself, when you put in the work, when you put in the time, when you put in the energy, and you really begin to make yourself beautiful as a person, you won't just give yourself away so easy to anybody, right? Because you know the amount of fight you had to go through to get your peace of mind. You know what you had to go through to get your joy back. You know what you had to go through to begin to love yourself again and be okay with you. So you won't just give yourself away so easy, so put in that work, do the work. I promise you it's going to be worth it in the end. All right. So my next point would be to know the source of your pain, right? I think we don't learn from our heartbreak sometimes. We get out of one relationship and we hop into the next relationship with the person who is the same person. The person have the same spirit as the last guy you dealt with, the same attitude, the same everything. The only thing that was different was the body and the face, right? And I don't think we take time to actually sit and actually do the work and expect why we're broken, how we fell for this person. What was it that we wanted from this person the most, one thing that I've come to really realize is that when I was going through my heartbreak was I not only looked at the person who broke me, like, oh, you hurt me, you did this to me, but I began to look at the condition of that person's soul. And you know what they say broken people break people, right? So if you really take the time to just examine the person who broke you, you will realize that 9 times out of 10, that person is broken themselves, right? And I think that point is important when you're healing, is because you will begin to have more compassion for that person. You will begin to have more grace for that person, So instead of you hating them and holding unforgiveness, you will begin to actually pray for them and feel bad for them and have compassion for them, because you're broken too. And you broke me because you're broken, right? But then you also have to take an examination of the fact that you couldn't see that this person was broken in the beginning, So what is it about you that gave into the brokenness of this person? So why did y'all really connect? You know what I mean? Was it really y'all connecting because y'all had chemistry, or was it just that y'all was connecting from the source of brokenness that both of y'all was? You know what I mean? And you will know this because when you begin to heal, the thing that once attracted you to them before doesn't attract you to them anymore. So that's one way to know if you are attracted to somebody through brokenness or wholeness, right? So my next point would be know the source of your pain. And then I would say use this as fuel to walk in your purpose. So use this heartbreak as fuel to begin to make a difference in your life and other people's life around you, right? So when I went through my heartbreak, it pushed me into my purpose more. I don't know what it was about me being heartbroken, but I was like, you know what? I don't have time to be trying to get back at you. I don't have time to be trying to hop into another relationship so that I can prove to you that I can be loved. I was like, I'm just going to focus on my relationship with God. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to get my credit right. I'm going to get my money right. I'm going to do what God created me to do. It pushed me deeper into my purpose, right? And let me also say this. Don't worry about what the next person got going on. Don't worry about what the next person is doing with their life. You know what I mean? Because everybody is on different paths in this lifetime. And I think sometimes we worry so much about what our ex is doing that it keeps us stuck, right? Focus on you. Run your race. Do what it is that God has called you to do. Put your hand to work. Don't worry about your ex. Don't worry about them moving on. Don't worry about them having 10 different girlfriends in a time span that y'all already broke up. Don't worry about none of that. Don't worry about any of that. Just know and understand who you are and what God has called you to do in this season of your life. You don't have time to be putting forth no energy worrying about them, right? You need to put forth all your energy worrying about you and what God has called you to do. And if you don't know, figure it out. That's why this time in your life is so important for you to just sit and figure out what God has called you to do. And for you to figure out who you are as you're going through this stage of heartbreak. And another thing that I want to say is to not allow your pain to be in vain, right? So use this pain as a learning lesson, right? Use this as a lesson for yourself. Because this is an opportunity for you to grow. This is an opportunity for you to maybe even pass down wisdom to other people, to help them get stuck out of their situation. Don't allow your pain to be in vain. You know what I mean? If you're going to hurt, if you're going to go through this, then you're going to come out better. You're going to come out stronger. You're going to come out wiser. Don't allow yourself to go through this pain only for you to go back and still hurt in it for it to be in vain. Right? So if you're going to go through this, if you're going to hurt like this, if you're going to cry like this, then make sure you make those tears count. Make sure that you're not continuing to be stuck in the same cycles. Make sure when you get up and you dust your knees off and you're done crying, make sure you begin to make better decisions. Make sure you begin to pick better. Sometimes you have to sit down and just take an observation of what you're doing and the cycles that you are in. Why do I continue to choose the same person? Why am I so attracted to narcissists? Why am I attracted to abusive men? Sometimes you just got to sit down and begin to do the work, and it all starts with you. I want to give you that clue. It starts with you and it ends with you. So sometimes your soul is so broken that you begin to choose the wrong things, right? But I just want you to make sure that you make this heartbreak count. Learn from this so that you can grow and so that you can go forward. Another thing you should do is remember the pain that you're in. Remember this pain and remember how you feel so that you would never put yourself again in this situation, in this predicament. So all I'm trying to say is learn from the pain that you're in and grow from it. Another thing that I want to say is I know how hard it can be to go through a heartbreak. Oh my God, heartbreak depression is horrible. It's so horrible. I mean, you just sit in the bed all day thinking about this person, what you said, if it was something that you did or you could have done better, and you're hurting, and you're literally you're hurting. Your heart is aching, it's hurting. One thing I would say is begin to just get up and move around. Don't lay in the bed all day because that makes it 10 times worse, right? So I would say get around people that might love you, get around people that will encourage you, get around people that will pray for you, get around people that care about you. Don't just sit in your heartbreak. Don't just sit in your brokenness, because it's in your brokenness that the enemy talks the loudest, right? So it's when you're really depressed and you're down that the enemy will come and whisper things in your ear like, oh, I told you weren't worth it, or I told you weren't lovable, and stuff like that. So you have to be able to get around people that know your worth, that can see your worth, that's going to help you get out of your heartbreak, that's not just going to allow you to sit in your depression, because I know how tempting it is to just lay there and to do nothing. Trust me, I know how it feels, right? But I would say one thing that helped me to get out of my heartbreak depression was praise and worship, if you are a believer, right? So me praying, me worshiping, or me going for walks, or me doing things that I love, or me just engaging with family members always helped me to get out of my state of depression and my funkiness whenever I was dealing with a heartbreak, right? So try to get around people that love you, or find somebody that you can talk to and share what it is that you're experiencing. But don't go through this pain alone. Don't go through this hurt alone, because I know how hard it can be to really, really, really get over a heartbreak. It hurts and it sucks. And sometimes it takes time to heal. But you need to know that that's okay. It takes time to heal. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. I wish there was a pill for heartbreak, but there isn't. You're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to go through it, and you're going to have to learn and understand why you was in the situation that you was in, so that next time you can be wise and you can keep yourself from this situation to the best of your ability, right? So it's okay that it takes time to heal. So don't get mad at yourself if you find yourself still thinking about this person, or still stuck, or just, it's okay. It's going to take time. Healing happens in phases, right? So you're not just healing from one thing. You're healing from multiple things at one time. You're healing that inner child. You're healing from the heartbreak. And let me say this. Sometimes when we're hurting over heartbreak, we're not even necessarily crying over the person. We're crying over the expectation and the hope that we had. I'm not even crying over you. I'm crying over what I thought I had. I'm crying over what I thought we could be. I'm crying over this future that I've already pictured in my head of us and how our life would be together. That's what I'm crying over. But I'm not even necessarily crying over you, right? So that's why it's so important that you protect your heart. The Bible says protect your heart, for out of it flows the issues of life. Your life comes from your heart, right? So you have to begin to protect your heart. You have to begin to protect your mind, because I don't know about y'all, but if you ever been in a soul tie, you know that thing really does take over your mind. It really does take over your emotions. It really does weigh down on you, man. It really does. So as women, we have to begin to move smarter. We have to begin to be smarter. We have to begin to take time to actually get to know people before we just give them our heart, before we invest so much time, so much energy. And that's why a lot of us are hurting, because we invest so much so soon. And half of the time we don't even know the person for real, but we have given so much because of what we thought it was gonna be, because of what we thought that it was. So by the time the real person comes out, we're already devastated, we're broken, and we're hurt, because we have given so much. But I think that as women, it's time that we begin to be smarter about our hearts, smarter about who we give our time to, who we give our attention to, be better stewards. It's time that you begin to love yourself more and boost your self-esteem, so that you're not chasing after every man that says you're pretty, or every man that gives you attention, but that you're actually able to sit and discern people's spirit and understand them and know them, and take your time to get to know people. Let me tell y'all something. The dating pool right now has pee in it. It does. It's trash out there. It really is trash out there. People don't take the time to learn themselves. They don't take the time to understand themselves. They don't take the time to grow as individuals. So if a person don't want to grow as an individual within themselves, what makes you think that they're going to put in the work to make a relationship work with you? What makes you think that? And I think that it's time to stop overlooking people's character because they fine, or because they got money, or because they're this, or because they're that. It's time for you to sit down and actually look at people's spirit. Look at people's character. How do they portray themselves? How do they behave? What are their habits? Like, that stuff is important. What are their values? What are their moral systems? What do they believe in? You know what I mean? Like, when you marry somebody, you're marrying their mindset. You're not just marrying their money. You're not just marrying their body. You are marrying their mindsets. When you have a kid with somebody, you are having a kid with another man's mindset. And that's what's important. That's what you need to look at. Stop looking at how fine they is and start looking at how they think. Because some people really do have some stinking thinking. And once you actually sit down and you begin to take a look into how people think, a lot of people are not attractive. They're not attractive in the way that they think, in the way that they move, in the way that they behave. They're not. And I think that as women, you have to be a steward over your heart. Stop telling these men, I don't want you to break my heart. No, that ain't their responsibility. That's your responsibility. Stop giving it to him. If you know that this man cannot be trusted, stop giving him your heart. Stop giving him your time. Stop giving him your attention. Stop giving him your body. You are responsible for your heart. You are a steward over your life and not anybody else. We have to start being wise with who we trust with our heart, with who we trust with our time, with who we trust with our attention. It's time to stop playing the blaming game, because we could blame men all day. We know they're trash at the end of the day. They have their issues. They're just as broken. But at some point, sis, you got to look at you. What am I doing? What am I saying? What is it about me that keep attracting this particular type of man? What about me that is attracted to this type of man? Why am I not protecting myself more? Why do I keep just giving myself away to anybody? You have to begin to take a look at you. If you want to break the patterns, if you're tired of being broken, if you're tired of heartbreak, if you're tired of men using you, abusing you, walking away from you, you have to begin to take a look at you, sis, because it does begin with you. It does begin with you. So, I mean, that's really all my points that I have today, is to just, one, make sure that you separate yourself. Two, to not take it personal. 3, to begin to heal the correct way, know the source of your pain, and to use it as fuel to chase after your purpose and your dreams, right? Take an introspect, man, of you, of yourself, right? And another thing I would say is, if you are a believer, praise and worship does help a lot when you're stuck in the funk, right? So praising God, praying, even fasting sometimes can help. Fasting, reading your word, prayer, worship. You have to trust God to restore your soul, because he says that he will restore your soul, and he says that he will give you strength, right? So if you are someone that's broken right now, you hurt, you're drained, you don't know where to go, you don't know where to start, I say start with God. I say start by giving it to him. I say start by going to God and repenting for making another man your idol. I say start by going to God and asking him for forgiveness for feeling like a man was your everything and that you couldn't live without a man, right? So I say go to God, because he says he's close to the brokenhearted. He says that he will help restore your soul, that he will give you strength, and where you are weak, he's strong, right? So if you are a believer, praise, worship, reading your word, prayer, fasting, but you got to be serious about getting loose. You have to be serious, because there's no point if you putting in all that work just for you to go back from what God frees you for. He didn't free you for you to go back to your mess. He freed you so that you can serve him freely. He freed you so that you can actually chase after your purpose and your dreams and your goals and what he has ordained you to do in this earth. Okay, so that's all I have for you today, and I really, really hope that this video has helped. And if it has, do me a favor, like it, comment. You can even share your experiences with me. I'm willing to talk and then to be open. If you don't have anybody to talk to, I'm always here. You can talk to me. But yeah, I appreciate you all for tuning in. Be blessed.